Hello, this is Danny Draven. I am the writer, director, and producer of The Offerings, and welcome to the audio commentary track. It is April 7th, 2015, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about this movie that I made in Nevada. As you can see, this wonderful landscape here is actually that's actually Red Rock Canyon, just outside of Las Vegas. In fact, we shot the entire movie in Nevada, just in Las Vegas, just outside of Las Vegas, I should say, up in the mountains, near right near Red Rock Canyon, which is what you're looking at right now on the screen. We shot it in, let's see, it was December, actually. That's why you see some snow-capped mountains. And it was actually very cold where we were shooting. Lots of people don't know that Las Vegas actually does get snow. It's not all hot all the time, particularly in December. This road out here that we're driving up is actually they call it the Widowmaker because so many people have died on this road. It's kind of I think it's kind of like a treacherous road because it's just kind of a one-lane road, and it goes up over the mountain, heading towards Pahrump. And I actually personally almost got killed, along with the entire crew, in that car. We are actually in the back seat right now when she's doing all this action. There's Mike King, who is my director of photography, who is sitting on an Apple box in the middle of the car, holding a movie cam compact, a 35 millimeter camera, and as well as two ACs and myself squeezed in the back there, holding a monitor. And we ended up driving all around the nearby roads to get all those shots you saw in the opening. A little dangerous at times, and I don't recommend you do that if you're a filmmaker, but anyway, I guess we did it and we all survived, but it was a lot of fun. We're at this house that we rented. I've made a lot of independent films, and one of the big savers on independent films is your locations, because locations, particularly in Los Angeles or any of the big cities, are incredibly expensive. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars a day to rent and insurance and this and that. So I had the idea on this film that I was going to rent a house. This house actually has never been used in a movie ever before. It was a private residence, and I ended up renting it for, I believe it was 2 months. I think I rented it for the entire month of November and the entire month of December. And what I liked about the house was that it was about, I think it was 6,000 square feet. It had an upstairs and a downstairs with a separate apartment, and it had like a horse stable in the back and some extra land and woods and whatnot. And I just looked at it as basically a movie lot for us to shoot this entire film. So I rented it for 2 months, and we shot this film in, shot it in 10 days, I believe. It was 10 days. And there was also a 6-car garage downstairs. And I have shot in a lot of small areas, and a 6-car garage to me was a soundstage. So we turned the entire garage into a soundstage. I actually built some of the sets you'll see here in a few minutes. We built all the sets downstairs from scratch. We brought up all the materials and dirt and wood and everything to build those. And this is a very low budget film. I don't think I want to give you give the budget away here, but let's just say it's a very, very low budget production. Every little thing that you see in this house was borrowed from friends and family and pawn shops and Goodwill and all the usual places. I mean, this house actually, when I rented it, was in fact completely empty. So the couch, the drapes, the the Buddha. I mean, everything that you're seeing on the screen we had to bring in, and this location was 30 minutes from the nearest, anything really, because it was far up in the mountains. So we really did have to haul everything up there, and then when it was done, haul everything back. But it worked out in the end, and it was probably a little bit more work than I had wanted, but in the long run, I think we did a pretty good job for hauling it all up there. In fact, one of the ways I saved money on the movie was I went to a furniture place, a local sort of mom and pop furniture place, and I just told them, I said, hey, all your furniture is just sitting here. It was used furniture. And I said, how about I just rent the furniture? I rent a bed, rent a couch, rent the pictures, rent the, all these little accessories, and I just want to rent it for about 2 weeks, and then you can drive it up, drop it off, and then you can, when we're done with it, you can come back in 2 weeks and get it, and then of course I'll pay for that. So you're essentially making money off of renting their used furniture. So anyway, I made a deal with that company, and that's one of the ways I was able to get a lot of the furniture up there and not have to actually pay full price for it. This set actually is completely built. This is the 6-car garage that I was telling you about. I just took the existing walls that were, of course, already on the in the garage, and then over there in the back. We're not there anymore now, but sort of behind our lead character here, we completely built all those brick flats and brought in all the dirt and all the bricks. Some of that brick is real, some of it's not. It was a pretty big adventure. I should probably introduce the actors to you here. I mean, I know their names came up already, but this is right here is Marina Risa, and she plays Alyssa in the film. This is Shirley Toe, plays Mrs. Wu. And Shirley, actually, a little fact about Shirley, she's actually a rocker. She's a musician. She's actually a bass player, and I believe she plays with the band. I don't know the name of the band. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's Juliette Lewis's band. She plays bass in that band, and she does she's pretty darn good too. So yeah, Miss Wu is a rocker. And this is Akiko Shima over there on the left, and Akiko has been in a lot of stuff actually. She was in Letters from Iwo Jima, Clint Eastwood movie, and a couple of other movies, and she really did a great job with her sort of quiet, mute character in the movie. They're actually, in this scene they're actually eating Panda Express, believe it or not. I know it probably looks like it if you look a little closer, but Panda Express was the only place we could get Chinese food anywhere remotely near to this place. So we went down, and they're actually eating pretty cold Panda Express too, because of the amount of times we did the takes, and by the time they ate it, it was cold. So the cross actually around her neck, I don't know, you can't really see it. This particular scene was probably shot a little dark. There was actually a close-up, believe it or not, and because we were shooting 35 millimeter film, sometimes things can get accidentally lost, and unfortunately there was a close-up and a few other shots in this scene for some reason that just completely disappeared at the lab, and of course we just didn't have the time or the money to go back and shoot it. But one of those shots I remember was that cross that Miss Wu was reaching in and grabbing. It happens though when you shoot on film sometimes. You could have got just got lost, I guess. That was one of the challenges actually on this movie was shooting on 35 millimeter. I'm a huge film fan, and I would shoot on film every single movie if I could. But for those of you who don't know, shooting on film is a very expensive method. This particular movie was shot on Fujifilm. It was just before, Fujifilm now has gone out of business. There's only Kodak is really the only motion picture company that still makes motion picture film. But at the time, we particularly we wanted to shoot on Fuji film for this movie, and we shot on all brand new Fujifilm stock, 250D, 50D, 400 tungsten, I think, 400T inside, and it gave it a nice contrast and everything, So, but we shot on 35, and we transferred everything to HD from the original negative, and it was pretty much the DI and everything was pretty much finished from that point, digitally.
Thank you.
And this scene, I remember that. That's a bagua mirror. It's actually a real sort of thing that sort of is supposed to deflect. But what she talks about in the scene, but it's supposed to deflect negative energy and evil spirits and whatnot. And the little fountain behind her was actually quite a pain to get to stop freezing. It probably doesn't look like it in this material, but that location was incredibly cold. I mean, every morning we would have to unfreeze that water, and there's ice and snowflakes every now and then. But I think we did a pretty good job of trying to trick the audience into thinking that it's a different time of year than it really is. But
Do you have any other family here?
the 10th day, which you'll see a little later, I'll show you, we actually had a blizzard, and it covered the entire property in 4 feet of snow. Luckily, we were done shooting most of the movie, but we really missed it. Just by a day, really, and then we ended up shooting the rest of it inside when there was 5 feet of snow outside. So you just never know.
It's okay.
Yeah. That's a shot from Boston. We didn't shoot that shot. It's actually stock, but the idea is that this boyfriend is kind of cross country, and he's going to end up coming out and coming after her. This scene we really had to throw together quickly. I don't remember the particular circumstances, but I think we were really pressed for time, and I had to shoot this very quickly. So it was originally going to be somewhere else, or we were going to build a bedroom set, but instead we ended up taking Alyssa's mattress upstairs, and we went downstairs and found a corner and sort of made a makeshift dorm room, dorm room looking set. This guy's kind of a pig, with all this stuff laying around, and we just had to throw together a quick little set, do it. That phone is incredibly dated, especially now. But actually, it was my personal cell phone at the time. It was a really old one that I had, and we needed something for the film, so I ended up using the old flip phone. It looks like a phone commercial, actually, if you look at it. It's so nicely in focus, we're so focused on it. It's another stock shot. Yeah. That was. This is all, real. Money that they used during the ghost month, we went out to I think a local Chinese place, Chinese market here, and bought all the incense and the money and the different paper that they burn to appease the spirits. So that's where we got all this stuff.
Alyssa, come.
It was so cold this night, I remember. It was freezing out there. If I could just take the camera and sort of turn it back the other way, and you could look at the crew, we are all wearing snow ski suits practically. It was so cold. They when they're doing this scene, they were kept pretty warm because of the fire, so it was okay. But man, the crew was just dying. It was so cold. Everybody's feet were frozen together. I remember.
Every year, in the Chinese calendar, the 7th month,
the fire, it was really windy that night too, and the fire actually kept blowing off, and we were shooting in the desert, so there's a lot of dry, leaves and trees and stuff, and things that can catch fire really easy. And I remember one time the wind blew a little too hard and blew some of the ash and kind of caught the garden on fire. I think. So, you just have to be, anytime you work with fire, you have to be a little careful. You're supposed to have a fire person on the set, but we were just doing this little pit scene, and we didn't. But something as simple as the wind blowing could catch something on fire, so be careful. This scene actually was cut considerably down. It's probably still too long. It's just this story she told went on and on for like ever. This is actually probably a quarter of what the original story that she was telling was. It was just it was just a lot of information that we had to get across, and I ended up just chopping it down for the final.
No.
I always like that. She tells that creepy story, and then she's like, "Did I scare you?" It's like, no, not at all. I gotta sleep here tonight. Mike King, my DP, he did all this sort of blue lighting for us. Mike and I worked together, I think, twice. We worked together on a movie I did a long time ago called Crips. It was a urban horror vampire schlocky horror comedy. We did that together in LA, and then this movie came around, and Mike had shot, for those of you horror fans out there that know the movie, the Charles Manson movie, Manson, I think it was called, it's Manson Family, I think. He shot that for Jim Van Beber, I believe, and Mike has shot a lot of film, so I thought he might be, and he's really great with the lower budget stuff, so that's why I ended up flying him out from Ohio, because he lives in Ohio, and flew him out to Nevada, and he shot this film for me. And this house was so big, and it had so many rooms in it that some part of the way I wanted to save some money was to just have some of the crew sleep on the set. Now, of course, this is something you would never do on a big budget movie or anything like that, because this was sort of an indie film made with love and made with friends and people who are used to the low budget way of doing things. I had Mike King, our director of photography, staying at the house. I stayed at the house. My wife stayed at the house. My dog stayed at the house. Our gaffer stayed at the house. I think one of the actors slept there a few nights downstairs, because there was another room downstairs. It was really kind of efficient, because you shoot a 12-14 hour day. This location's half hour, 45 minutes from the nearest hotel where most of the actors were staying. But for us, for me as the director, and for Mike as the director of photography, we were able to sort of talk about shots. Everybody went home, we could talk about shots. We woke up in the morning, ate a little breakfast. We were walking around the set talking about shots. People would arrive, and then all of a sudden we were back to shooting. So in a way, living on the set is actually quite efficient, even though it's not the norm, for sure. This scene I actually cut down a lot too. Frankly, what happened was this character here, and one of the characters later, their makeup was really bad. We didn't do enough makeup tests initially and then when I got to the set and saw it, with all the lighting and the camera rolling, I felt that he looked, he pretty much looked like one of the Addams Family guys, and I just ended up cutting any close up to his face out of the entire film. So that's kind of what we ended up with, and at the end was I did shoot a lot more coverage of his face and everything, but it just was really embarrassingly bad. So I ended up just keeping him in shadow and keeping the scenes dark, and and we did some what's called digital makeup, which is taking the face of that particular character and altering it digitally, giving him sort of a scarier face, which I did in this film for him. We call him the crawling ghost, and then I did it for this the other character with the long hair. We call her the hair ghost, but I gave her also a digital makeover as well because her makeup had the same problem. It's just a little trick sometimes we use and I used it actually on a film I just did. I did a few years ago now. It's called Real Evil, that Full Moon put out, and that film we did a considerable amount of digital makeup effects to sort of enhance the ghosts and keep them, keep them scary.
I must have just wandered a bit too far.
This is excuse me. This is Rick Irvin. Rick and I go back a long way. I discovered Rick on a film I did called Crips. Yep.
Are you the neighbor?
That was his first one, and then Rick was also in a movie I did called Dark Walker, and then he was in this one. So yeah, he's done a few films with me. And I think that he was in another film I did called Deathbed. Stuart Gordon Presents Deathbed. He played the orderly at the end. So Rick and I have a little bit of a history, and I don't know. I kind of wrote this part for him. And he was happy about that.
Alyssa.
Nice to meet you, Alyssa.
This is probably about 10 hours before the blizzard came in. What you can't see there in the back is the skies are very dark, and it just got colder and colder and colder. The sky got darker and darker and darker. We were losing light like crazy, and by the end of this day, we had 5 feet of snow on the ground, and it was totally, we could not shoot outside anymore. But luckily, I was able to get the very last shot while it was snowing, and finish all of our outdoor material. I'm glad that happened too, because man, if we would have been halfway into shooting, with money wise and schedule wise, and having 5 feet of snow on the ground, it would have completely ruined the movie. We would have had to shut down production. There wouldn't have been any other choice until the snow cleared. You just never know when you do the indie films, and even big films too. You just never know. You can anticipate a little bit with what Mother Nature's going to do, but you just never know when you're going to get rained on, or a cloud's going to come over and take all your light, or a blizzard comes in and ruins your whole plans for the entire movie. I think we bought that at Ross. Actually, I gave it to Marina after this the movie wrapped. I think I said, "Hey, you want this box?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's so nice." I think a lot of the props I ended up giving to some of the actors. It's just stuff we had to go out on our own and sort of get, we really had an incredibly small crew on this movie. Probably 8 to 10 people at any time actually on the crew. It was very small. It was actually one of the smallest crews I think I've ever had to work with. I mean, we were efficient in what we did, but shooting film takes a little more time with lighting and blocking, and we only have a certain amount of film to shoot too. I actually shot way more film than I thought I was going to shoot on this movie. I had estimated and budgeted about 35,000 feet of film.
Yes, this is she.
And I ended up shooting about 75,000 feet of film. So for you filmmakers out there, that's a considerable difference. I mean, if we were shooting on a camera like the Red or the Alexa or any of the newer Blackmagic's cameras or whatnot, shooting over is no big deal at all. But when you're rolling 35 millimeter through a camera, 16 millimeter through a camera, it is just eating money as you hear that, as you hear it turning in there. It's just eating through rolls and rolls of money, because it's not just the cost of the film, it's the development of the film, it's the transfer of the film, You know, it's an expensive medium to work in.
About you. I haven't heard from you in a while. I left
But it's a beautiful medium. I mean, it's not something
I
that
don't have that number anymore.
I regret using. In fact, as I said before, I am a huge film
He's still
fan.
bothering you?
And if I could shoot on film, if money wasn't an issue, if I could shoot on film every movie, I would, because it really is a magical medium.
He just doesn't get it.
You know, it really is. But I'm also a fan of other cameras too. You know, Red and Alexa and whatnot, and they have their own properties as well. But film, you can see, like in the actors, you can see their skin tones and how soft they are, and the color, you know, the contrast and the grain that's in those particular stock of Fujifilm that we were using is just it's just really wonderful. It just gives the actors such a glow, you know.
It's real quiet and peaceful out here.
So that's my pitch for film. This, I should probably tell you who this is. This is Kristen, and she
Well, as long as it's not your paycheck,
she I think she auditioned originally for the lead for Alyssa, and she did a great job. I just felt that maybe she would have been a better part for her would have been the part of the friend. So I ended up casting her for that. Yeah. And she's actually downstairs in the apartment. There was an apartment downstairs in this house, so I ended up shooting her friend's apartment downstairs in the apartment. The movie's, like I said, the movie's incredibly contained. If you look in the back there, you can see the barns and whatnot, which you could probably see a little later in the movie. That it's the same barn, but you know, we had to make use of our space and our setting as much as possible.
It was in my closet.
So I think we had like three or four different locations all in this one place. I mean, earlier there's at the agency, I think her character name was Tessa. That also was downstairs in the same area. I still have that record player back there. That it's a CD and record player. I think I bought it for the film, and then I was like, hey, this is pretty cool, and I ended up putting it in my library. I still have it too. We bought all those Chinese dresses and everything. I think we bought them at the local. We went down to a flea market. I think there was this Chinese store, and they had all these outfits, and we just went down and bought like 15 of them or something like that.
Really?
I think that picture that Polaroid was actually her costume fitting picture. we just had her put it on and test it, and then we took a quick Polaroid for the movie for her to find in the box. The girl who plays Mei Ling is I think her name was Anna Lee, and she was a local Vegas hire, and I think this was her first film, and we just said, hey, you want to be a monster? And it's like, yeah. This is
Hello?
the secret room with all the secrets. I think I digitally enhanced this shot. I don't remember why I enhanced it, other than to just add a little bit of effect. I really wanted to do a lot with the walls, but you know, we didn't really have a lot of money to do anything visually with on set. Like right here, see that the walls crack. Those were all added in post. Mainly just because I wanted to see, I wanted to see the house lit, like kind of be alive a little bit, have a little bit of almost like the house is possessed a little bit. So occasionally I would, use that little trick and crack the walls.
Was there anything else?
No, I think that's it. Why don't you go relax? Take a hot bath.
I don't know what happened to that little dragon in the middle. We bought that. I think we bought that at a local flea market as well. A little foreshadowing here. The idea was that
I found this in my room.
that's what she's gonna
Who's Mei Ling?
beat the hell out of her with later. But just trying to set it up for now.
I haven't heard in a while.
Did she used to live here?
Yeah.
at this point,
housekeeper
if
before
you could look outside, you would see 5 feet. You would see 5 feet of snow, no doubt.
She's pretty.
We were snowed in.
Actually, you remind me a lot of her.
I think we definitely shot
One day she left.
December. I think it was December 4th was our first day, and then we shot for 10 days, and then I think we might have stayed an extra day or so for some inserts and whatnot, and then by the time we wrapped up and got everything back, it was Christmas time, man. Everybody was gone. Everybody wanted to go home. I still, looking at this movie now, I still can't believe how much of this house we had to dress. I mean, if you could just imagine that it was completely empty. I mean, all those dressers and beds and sheets and pictures and everything, every little thing we brought in. It was a great little deal that I made with this local company. It was a great little. They had the truck and they had the stuff, and it was like, hey, I think I only paid like $500 or something like that for them to bring out all that furniture in that house. That was a really good deal for an indie filmmaker. That was a really good deal. It's one of my favorite shots in the movie right there. When you see her face, I don't know if you can see her. That original shot was her just in sort of flat makeup, and just looked like kind of a girl standing there with Halloween makeup on. So I ended up digitally enhancing that particular shot and gave her a skull, sort of a skull face. And then just a moment ago, you saw her head come into frame, and then her skin sort of like, rot away, and those were all digitally enhanced. Because if you could see the original, you would see why I enhanced it. It just made it a lot better all around. And it broke that too. That shot, we just dropped it on the ground and just filled the jug up with water, dropped it, and rolled the camera and let it just broke it and swept up the glass. Yeah, that was fun. I had a lot of fun making this film. A lot of fun. This is this is Jared Eddington, and Jared, I don't know what else other films that he had done before this, but he came in the audition, and I think he gelled really well with us, and fit the sort of psycho boyfriend profile really well, and ended up getting him in here. This scene actually is in the driveway, just outside, and what I did was to make I wanted to. It's of course not really raining. We ended up rigging something. I think this is actually Rick's car, Rick, who plays Blake in the movie. I said, "Hey Rick, can I use your car?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he pulls it up. We put Jared in the car. They said, "Well, how are we going to make it rain?" I said, "Okay, we have a garden hose. We put up 2 C-stands on both sides and a 2x4 to sort of hang over top of the windshield, and then I had him punch holes into the garden hose at about 2 or 3 inch intervals, and I hung one over the top and I hung one over the back, and we turned on the water, and we have rain. That's it. It's a rain bar. That's essentially what it is, but it's kind of a homemade, low-budget version of a rain bar. You just we just end up making ourselves, and it was night out, so we had the protection of the darkness, and then I had some moonlight. Had Mike King, sort of shine some moonlight in there to enhance the rain effect on the windshield, and it's a pretty effective, low-budget trick to doing rain in a car with no rain. And then this shot, we just moved the rain bar to the other side of the car, so it looks like it's pouring on the other side as well. It worked really well. Yeah, he's definitely a psycho. The scene gets a chuckle. I mean, could have. I think it's just because of what he says. You know, he's talking about his mother, and then he's like throwing the phone around, then he calls her back. I don't know what people are supposed to make of this guy and his intentions. I think he was throwing his own phone around too. I don't think that was a prop.
I'm sorry I said those things.
Probably one. I don't remember if it was this movie or another movie, but somebody broke their phone one time when they were doing that. They were using their own phone, and they ended up doing a scene where they had to sort of throw it around and ended up cracking the screen. I think we had to buy them a new one.
I'll be here. Just call me back.
A lot of like on this film, you know, a lot of things were sort of begged and borrowed. You know, I mean, the wardrobe, for instance, you know, is almost entirely owned, with the exception of some of the Asian outfits, was just wardrobe that the actors owned. And since it occurs over a couple days, we tried to save some money by having the actors just sort of show up in clothes that they already own, you know, and it worked out. It worked out for us. Everybody has to kind of, with these movies, you know, everybody has to kind of help out if you can, you know. I mean, if you're comfortable with it, and if you have it's like, hey, I got an old sweater, or hey, I got an old pair of pants I could wear, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, of course, if it was a scene that involved blood or dirt or anything where it would destroy the clothes, we of course would either purchase the clothes from the actor, or we would just go out and buy our own, you know, clothes. But for a scene like, you know, like this, where people are just walking around and, you know, or just you know, some scenes with dialogue and whatnot, it just, for us at the time, it just made more sense to have the actors wear their own clothes when they could. I mean, because it's really a vast majority of the money for this movie went into the film and the processing. It really did. It was an incredibly expensive part of this movie. I think we rented that table as well from a different place, actually. I think it was Rent-A-Center or something like that. We needed a few other items, and we went down to like one of those furniture rental stores, a different one, and then we ended up making a similar deal. This was like a storage shed, I believe. Or it was just a storage shed, and that, of course, there's no door, there's no actual hole there. This is a whole different set we had built in the garage. But the idea was like this crawling guy lives in this sort of outhouse, if you will, or dog house, or a family secret house where the family hides their bastard children. So the idea was that he sort of lived out there, and we just found this. It was just a storage shed, and we kind of turned it into a little playhouse, really. Yeah, this is another shot. You can see him crawling behind her. There. She's too scared to turn. The actor that plays the crawling ghost, his name is Tam Albertson, and he's in a wheelchair in real life, and he's a incredible athlete. I wish I could remember all the things he could do, but I remember he was a very talented athlete, and he drove a really cool car, I remember, and he was a pleasure to work with. I mean, for a guy that I had literally crawling on the ground all the time, on dirt and rocks, and we actually shaved his head. He actually had a full head of hair, and one of the conditions was I said, hey, Tam, we need to shave your head. Are you okay with that? And I mean, I don't mean like military shave. I mean like completely bald shave. It's like, yeah, okay. So we ended up shaving his entire head during, I think it was like the first day of shooting or something. We ended up saying, take him in the other room and just giving him a complete shave. And he was in contacts. I mean, you can't really see him in the film, because I ended up having to cut a lot of his material back, but he had these incredibly uncomfortable contacts he had to wear in his eyes that gave him black eyes. They're almost like sawtooth looking things. And he was a real sport about it. He was a real sport. This is our built set downstairs in the garage. We had a fake wall that we had built so we could get all the light behind it and have it shine through the bricks. That's one of my favorite shots in the film right there, that one. When she's just like, Alyssa, comes down on her. That was a digitally enhanced shot as well. We just, a friend of mine does a lot of the digital effects works, also a director. He did a lot of the Killjoy movies that if you're a fan of horror and Full Moon Pictures and Killer Clowns, a guy named John Lachago, and he did a lot of these visual effects for me in this movie. He's very talented at that. Those were all enhanced too. Yeah. Alyssa.
Are you okay?
I can't take this any longer.
I think one of the big questions in this movie is, why doesn't she just run away? Why does she stay in this house? Well, it's a movie. Where's she gonna go? She's in the middle of the desert and her boyfriend's after her, right? She has nowhere else to go. I mean, at least that was the idea. But I know if I was her, I definitely would have just took my shit and just, bailed. Especially with the creepy aunt, creeping around the house all the time.
If you offend a ghost, you have bad luck.
The actors had a blast though making the movie. I mean,
What rules?
I can't remember everyone's resume off the top of my head, but I think this was from probably most of their first major, featured roles for most of the actors. And I think for them that was something that was really, really cool for them.
But I stepped.
Say no more. Tomorrow I'll bring more offerings.
And everything she talks about here is all based on fact. I mean, this is really what they do in the Chinese Ghost Month. These rules are all real rules. The ash, the money burning. I mean, everything that you see in this film that they're doing or that they're talking about is the way it is, how it happens. What I was trying to do with the story was, I'm a fan of Asian horror movies, but what I was trying to do was to bring like sort of an Asian horror movie mentality or an Asian horror movie vibe to America and keep the Asian elements, but put it in a American environment. In this case, it would be the desert in the Southwest, where this Asian lady lives, and but still maintains her beliefs, That I had the entire cast sign that. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to it, but I had everybody sign that, and I don't know what happened to it though. Sometimes you, as a director, you want to keep something, on the set, like a prop or something, and you put it in your office, and it has that sort of memory every time you see it. Like, oh, that's the helmet from so and so, and that's the mask from this movie, and that's the door hanging from Ghost. That's the ghost from that movie. So it's.
What are you doing here?
Well, this is for you, since you like to read.
They're losing light out there, as you can probably tell.
Biology of Horses by Dr. Blake Reezy.
This was a great house. I mean, it was
signed it for you right there.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not a log cabin, but it's just
Thanks.
everything in it was made of
honored.
wood, obviously. But it was a really, really cool little house.
This is a nice place.
It was
I've lived up here a long time.
it took a lot to heat it though. I remember
Not very neighborly,
it was
I suppose.
I'm not supposed to have anyone.
6,000 square feet. It was a lot of area to turn the heater on. And believe me, we turned the heater on when we weren't shooting because it was cold.
Haven't you ever broken one?
I don't know why he says it that way, but it's so like bizarre the way he says that.
I seen her drive past my house a few minutes ago with the old lady.
Would you like something to drink?
Sure, what do you have?
Let's see. Martini.
The fridge was completely empty, of course, when we sort of moved into the house. But
Water's fine.
the people who were staying in the house, myself included, we had our daily food in there. So you can see how unhealthy the fridge was. You know, it's just like water and mustard and mayo and ketchup and pickles and ham and cheese and probably some ice cream in the freezer, and that's about it.
Are you married?
Because we were using this kitchen every morning when we woke up. In fact, I think my script is actually laying on the. Oh no, that's the book he gave her. Never mind. There is a seat in here. I won't tell you where it is, but there's somewhere a scene in here where you could see my script on the back table somewhere. It happens sometimes, you just forget you put it there and you're moving so quickly and you forgot that it was in the scene. Actually, I'll point it out to you a little later, but there's a hand that's clearly in the scene later. And it's not a ghost hand. It's a grip hand.
Took a while to get used to the isolation, but
It had a beautiful view, though, this house. This is the back patio area, and the area up there was there's some old, I think there's like an old Indian burial ground, and I think there's like a hot springs very close by. We were only about, I think it's like 30 minutes away from Pahrump, Nevada. Pahrump, Nevada, for those of you who don't know, is the only one, if not one of the places in the United States where prostitution is actually legal, and there's a lot of brothels over there. So, everybody that goes from Vegas to Pahrump to visit the brothels has to sort of pass through, this general area where all these houses are and whatnot, and. So yeah, you get some characters. There's some characters around there.
What are you doing here?
I don't
just coming to get to know your new girl.
remember. Let's see. This
He
was.
doesn't need any friends, especially ones like you.
I remember we did this take like about 20 times. I don't remember why though. I think it's a camera problem or something. Somebody kept
I was thinking that maybe.
picking up their line or something. All right. Well, you can see the set we built a little bit better. We just had to keep it. I tried to keep it as dark as like we could in there because like I said, it is a garage, and we. But it was great though. I mean, it really was big. I mean, 6-car garage. With all this extra storage area. Really gave us a lot of room to work with and to build several sets down there. Now this, where the key just fell down, that I think the owner was I think he was really into race cars or into restoring old race cars and trucks and whatnot. But that area down there was one of those pit. I don't know what it's called. I think it's like just a sort of a, you roll the car over on top of it, and then you're able to get underneath it to do all sort of maintenance and whatnot to the car. And when I saw that, I was like, hey, cool, that could work as our pit, because we needed a pit where this crawling ghost TW, as his name is in the movie, where he sort of was thrown and locked in, and so we ended up this is it right here. We ended up just sort of making it work for the movie. I actually wrote a considerable amount of the movie around what was available. I think you'll find as a independent filmmaker that if you find a great location that you have access to, one of the best things you can do to save money is to write your story around whatever you have available. So if you have an amazing car, or if you have a cornfield that it's been in your family for generations and it's got a barn on it. Well, that's perfect. There you go. Now write a story around that. It's really a great way to work if you want to do sort of independent films.
Yes, ma'am?
Come over here.
It was all that wine was all like super super cheap wine. I think we went down to the store and it was like $2 a bottle. I had him drink it too.
Do you like wine?
Yeah, it's like
Sure.
Gallo
Here. It's red
garbage wine.
What's the occasion?
I still have that there's a Buddha head there in the back. I actually still have that in my living room. Actually, the other Buddha, there's another Buddha in there. Those are all ones that I own. I ended up bringing to the set, but I still have those.
I'm sorry I was short with you earlier.
So weird I can look back at some of the films that I've made
Remember you asked
and
me about mailing a few days
see bits and pieces of my living room or of my
ago. Man, she was
office or studio, stuff that I've loaned out over the years to sort of fill in sets, you know.
He told me he didn't know her.
Well, I'm not
I guess there's a
surprised.
piece of me in every one of them, right?
What happened?
Are you sure you want
This
to?
film,
I'm sure.
yeah, we shot.
She was a good girl.
We didn't have to come back and reshoot anything. I mean,
I guess
you know, we'd use some stock material, some stock footage, but other than that, you know, we were able to really contain it into the amount of days we did it. So
I saw them kissing.
we spent a whole entire month dressing the place because, as I said earlier, I had the house for the entire month of November and the entire month of December. So for the entire month of November, we just went up there every day and just, you know, dressed it and built the sets and really took our time, you know, putting those together.
She ran into the
And that
house,
really worked out well for us.
screaming and dripping
for sure.
blood. I was terrified.
This movie was cut in, for those of you
She
that
was beaten.
may be interested in some of the technical information, the movie was actually edited in
Blake did.
Final Cut.
He was the last to see
So
her.
Final Cut Pro,
But he
and
denied it.
I think we did the
So
color
we
work,
cleaned her up.
the DI in color, which it doesn't exist anymore.
She wouldn't tell us what
And,
happened to her that night and who
You know,
did
and
it.
I did all the mastering work myself
Just
and
accident.
whatnot. And,
As time went
yeah.
on, Blake stopped coming around, and she became more and more
I don't-
depressed.
I don't know what happened to the negative, honestly.
Being sucked out.
I actually had all the negative transferred.
I honestly don't know.
To HD, I had
She
everything
vanished.
transferred over, all of it.
One day,
That
we
way I
found
wouldn't
her
have to
in
go
an
back to
empty-
it. Because that would
This
be,
wasn't
you
her
know, it was
then.
expensive to do that anyway, but it would be even more expensive to have to go back to it later.
My dear Miss Wu, my life has become empty. I can't bear the
Oh,
loneliness.
I think that's my wife's handwriting,
sorry,
actually.
I'm
Jojo. Jojo did the, Jojo Draven is the composer
There was
and
too
one of the
much of that.
producers on the movie. And she's also my wife.
Family tried to
And she did the music score for the movie, which
ran away
is
and didn't want to be found.
really unique. You know, it has all these
was
Asian
illegal, this one.
instrumentation,
I think the police would be the last people she
and it
wanted
just
to see.
really added a lot to the movie.
It's so sad.
And if you're interested,
Well, Lisa,
you know, you can listen to the isolated on this edition of the offerings. You can listen to the isolated music score, which is really cool. I remember it was freezing this night, and we were having a lot of problems with that smoke machine. But it actually turned out we finally were able to get it doing what it was supposed to do. But he actually came. I cut it in the film, but he actually came all the way down that little stretch of path there, and he came all the way to the camera, and then he like reached at the camera. But like as I said before, the makeup didn't work, so I ended up cutting it to where he just sort of came around the corner, and we ended up cutting out of it. I just gave that away. Actually, I still had that little clock. I hadn't used it since the film, so I think I donated it. Yeah. I think that's the same robe that Shirley wore earlier. It's the little movie things that you remember as a director. You're just like, oh boy.
You're up late.
Yeah, I can't sleep.
What's wrong?
I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I think I'm going crazy.
I had all the actors stay. They stayed at a hotel about 30 minutes away, so
You couldn't
we,
tell if it was real.
we shuttled everybody in every day. We shuttled them in. They did their work. We shuttled them back. It was
I keep seeing
they had fun
things.
together at the hotel that they stayed at. I remember they were all hanging out and partying and
Do you believe in spirits?
having a good old time. You got to remember it is Las Vegas, so the hotel they're staying at, has there's slots and blackjack and anything you can think of.
So.
Wait, Miss Wu.
But
thinks she's
who would not want to come to Vegas to make a movie?
And you
It's a lot of fun because at the end of the day, after your shoot, you can go have a little fun.
Yeah.
It's,
Some of the stories she's told.
I mean, I've shot.
Do you remember when we were
This is the first film I shot
and
in
the boys told us not to go into
in
that dark
in
tunnel
Nevada.
on Boston Drive?
All the other movies I made, I think that one movie I made was shot in Fresno, but other than that, they were mostly made in Los
We
Angeles.
believe those bastards.
Usually in like super bad areas too. I mean, the movie I made
It's the same thing. Fear
called
through
Real
suggestion.
Evil, we shot at the Linda Vista Hospital,
Don't let this
which
woman
is one of the
scare
most
you with
haunted
old wives' tales.
haunted places in all of Los Angeles. And man, that was a creepy
You sure
shoot.
you're gonna be okay?
That's a whole nother movie you're gonna have to go find and watch if you want to know what I'm talking about. But that was definitely a creepy one.
Okay.
This place was not haunted, but
Bye.
the asylum that I shot in, the old hospital, certainly was. Yeah. If you blink, you probably missed it, but there he was again behind the chair, and I sort of gave him a little bit of a ghostly, transparent look. Now this was the apartment downstairs at the house. I think the owner would rent this out to, people who were looking for a one bedroom apartment. Actually, I think it was a 2-bedroom apartment. And we ended up really using it as a green room the entire shoot. Obviously we shot this scene, and there's an agency scene we shot, and I think another scene we shot earlier. But really, this is where we kept the actors the entire time. This is where the craft service was at. This is where people ate their lunch at. This is where people hung out at. There were 2 bedrooms in the back. One bedroom we used as the makeup room, and I think the other bedroom, makeup and wardrobe room, and then the other bedroom we used as like kind of a nappy room, I guess, for people who got tired to go in there and take a nap.
She's not here.
And the fridge and everything in here was just total craft services. So it was really cool. I mean, it worked really well for us because essentially it's just like, having everybody over at your house, and then if you go out that door on the right, you would enter the 6-car garage, and then just if you go out into the right and then up the stairs, you would see the rest of Miss Wu's house, and of course outside, which you'll see a little bit later.
Tell me! Don't make me do this! Tell me!
Yeah, people have told me like, she wouldn't have died that fast. You probably should have choked her a little longer, but see, her eyes kind of turned red. They kind of turned red and got a little watery, and they kind of got a little bloodshot. Those were actually that was digitally enhanced as well. Actually, I think I did that. I think we had to do that to sort of. I don't know. I was just trying to sell the fact that she died so quickly, and so we ended up trying to get her eyes a little bit more popped. That's the end of her. And I think that was Miss Wu's robe again. Like the 3rd time in the movie. Same handwriting. This is the same handwriting as Miss Wu is supposed to have. Which you'll see later. I'm sure if you're listening to this commentary, I'm assuming you've already watched the movie. So when she says, Miss Wu, she compares the handwriting. Well, the handwriting on the fridge is, if you look at it closely, it's clearly the same handwriting. Now, this diary had an interesting story. It's written in all these Chinese characters, and Shirley actually wrote all this stuff. Apparently, I could never translate it for you, but from what she was telling me, she was essentially writing, I think she said she was writing love letters to her boyfriend, or her, I can't remember if it was a boyfriend or her husband at the time. I don't remember, gosh. But essentially she was writing to her significant other, like love letters. And that's kind of what that was all about. Now if you freeze frame it and you had it translated, who knows what it says? I have no idea.
Sorry to disappoint.
It would be interesting to find out, though.
Excuse me. What are you talking about?
You know what? Maylene.
Poor Marina in this scene, you can see it on the you can see it on the blooper reel. She got a little frustrated during one of the takes. It's really funny, but you can just tell by her face and his face how cold it is. If you look at her nose, it's just like it is so cold out.
At least that's what she told me.
You're a liar.
This was the also on the property, and it was just horse stables that the owner had out there, and I ended up sort of writing it into the movie that Blake's property was, Blake had all these horses and whatnot, and
Just stay away from me.
we just walked outside and down the hill, and there we are. We're shooting. This is a stock shot of. This is supposed to be the agency. And clearly that's in New England somewhere. And now we're back at our house again. This is also the house. This is downstairs at the house. What you can't see is there was when he opened the door, there were some snowflakes that were actually coming in. It's very subtle, but it was the blizzard was coming, but we were starting to get very light snowflakes. And every time he opened that door, it was like somebody was blowing snow into the room. But yeah, we had to cheat a lot of this stuff, to make it work for our situation, in the film. So yeah, this office that she's in was the makeup room that we ended up redressing to look like it was an office in a building somewhere. And the waiting room, we just sort of put together that it was actually originally supposed to be shot at a realtor's office. We had scouted out a local realtor's office to shoot this entire scene. And I ended up saying, budget wise and schedule wise, and having to move the entire production from way up in the mountains to way across town for literally one scene in the movie, something that took us probably, not even a half a day to shoot. Just didn't make financial sense for the production. So I ended up saying, hey, we just need to build this set at the house and save time and money. And that's what we did.
Hang on.
This is Erica
Did you say her name was?
Ed.
Alyssa.
And she
Alyssa Barnes.
plays Tessa. And she
She's been assigned
did a good
to
job. And let's see what she I'm not sure what she's up to these days.
It's a bit of a hike from here. Been trying to fill that position for quite some time.
That old computer back there,
Here's
geez.
the address.
The old iMac look like. Everything in this office was actually borrowed from the executive producer's
And
house.
if you need any
Everything.
directions,
Actually, the dog picture there in the back was my childhood dog. You can see it back there. It's a little out of focus, but that was one of my childhood dogs named Pebbles. And actually, it's funny because I didn't even realize that was there until now. I forgot that was even in there. If you look really closely at a lot of that stuff in the office, I would probably pick out things that I recognize. But we needed to dress it, so we went to their office and they literally just put a whole bunch of stuff in a car and just drove it up, and we decorated the office with that stuff. This is behind the stable on the property. There was like a bird cage or something over there, or a lion cage. I don't know. The guy had all kinds of animals. We just dug up a hole and staged the whole scene, in the back area. There's actually a freeway the main road kind of really close by. When we were lucky, there was a lot of motorcycles running by too, but we were lucky to be able to sort of get really clean sound for something that's fairly close to the road. This is, again, very close to that blizzard coming. In fact, I think this is probably like 2 or 3 hours before it started to pour. Before it started to just plow down on us. I'm just so grateful that we were able to get everything shot outside before that came down, because as I mentioned earlier, it would have been disastrous for us to have to shut down production, on something. It really would have. She's a nosy girl, I've noticed. She's like a curious cat. Just keeps going around sticking her nose and everything.
I was...
You were what?
What's in there?
It's a dead horse.
Now, if you want a different perspective other than mine, there's always the cast commentary also on the disc, which is Marina, Shirley, and Rick, and they did their own commentary track. This was a stock shot as well. Although we do get there are incredibly amazing. There just really are some amazing moons in Nevada at night, but to catch it, at the right time is a little difficult. I think we bought that fire pit at like Lowe's, and then I had it for a while. And I don't know what happened to it actually. I think I gave it away. It's amazing when you look at these movies. It's every little detail starts to come back to you, in these commentaries. Yeah. I'm not sure what Rick's up to these days. What his new projects are and whatnot, but I'm not sure what he's up to. I know Marina got married. She wasn't married during the movie, but I know I think she's married now. Yeah. Red Rock Canyon. It's beautiful. It really is. If you ever come to Las Vegas and want some amazing hiking and scenery, go check out Red Rock Canyon for sure. That door covering down there was put there because there was a doggy door down there, so I had to cover it up for the scene. So we ended up making this little sort of like plaque down there to cover it up because it looked really bad. That was a digital enhanced shot as well. The original, you really saw like a girl in makeup, and then when I had it digitally enhanced, it just really enhanced the look of that creature a lot. All that brick that she's leaning against is real. We brought all that brick to that house. I mean, it must have been at least 300 bricks, like real bricks. The wall itself was a fake brick veneer with a real brick section that later you'll see it gets knocked out or built up. So there's a little bit of brickwork in this one. I don't know what my fascination with brick is, because that's one of my favorite shots. That when her skin sort of rots away in fast motion. It's really that's really one of my favorite digitally enhanced shots in the movie. Very cool. Yeah. we did a lot of brick stuff in the movie I did with Stuart Gordon. A movie we did called Deathbed. There was supposed to be this brick room, and behind the bricks was this bed and all this stuff, but we couldn't build the room, so it ended up being upstairs in this mysterious room upstairs because we couldn't afford to build a room that was behind a room, that sort of thing. So I think when I did this movie, I was like, I want to do some bricks again. We're something with bricks, Yeah, that was a real chicken. It was, of course, a dead chicken already. We just went to the store and bought a chicken that was already dead with its head still on it, and had her chop it off. I don't know why, really.
Oh.
Other than to make people squirm a little bit in their seats when they see it, I think. I think some people at the test screening were like, "Oh, that was disgusting.
We find you laying on
I'm
the
never gonna
patio
eat chicken
earlier.
again."
You were fine, but you were just lying there like you fell asleep.
I remember just seeing something and then
Listen, tonight is the last night of the ghost month. You should be happy because the king of hell is gonna come
this
out
was
and gather all the spirits and take them back to hell.
this was towards the end of the shoot. I remember. I think most people had gone home. We were
and they will bless you, and you have good
a lot of the key people anyway.
well, I should get back to work.
It's okay if you want to rest.
I think I'd rather just get it done.
Oh, Alisa, there's a message for you.
Really?
It's over there on the counter.
There's the handwriting. So every day on this movie, because we were in the middle of nowhere, from a production standpoint, we had to. I was having film flown in from LA because you can't buy motion picture film or get it developed in Nevada. So I was running a low on film, so I would have to have it ordered and have it literally overnighted to the set, which was of course incredibly expensive because film is heavy. And then we would shoot the day. Oh, this shot right there, you can see the snow coming down. That was literally the last shot when Rick looks behind the tree. That was the last shot that we shot outside during the blizzard. And then and what you're not seeing is the massive downpour that happened within moments of that shot ending. So and then the rest of the movie from that point forward we shot inside. So anyway, but what I was saying about the film was, the way it worked with this one is we would at the end of the day we would the second AC would second assistant camera would tally up everything and get the film ready to be shipped back to LA. So at the end of the day that we had a runner who would come and get a box of film, and they would go down to FedEx and drop it off the next day, and then that would be overnighted to I believe our lab was Photochem on this one. It would be overnighted to the lab in LA, and they would do the processing and dailies and everything. We did that every day. And then the dailies would get shipped back to us, and we would look at them. And that's kind of how it worked on this one.
She vanished. One day, we found her room empty, and this was on her bed.
Some people like the instant daily. Of course, if we were shooting on digital, you get to see what you're getting immediately. But on film, in this particular case, I'm looking at everything through a black and white monitor, and I right down there in the corner in the bottom right, you can see a hand. that is our grip holding the door back, because every time she came in the room and hit the door, it would close behind her. So I had him laying down in the corner, so when she opened the door, the hand comes in and holds the door. But if you look at it, if you're interested, if you want to rewind it a little bit, you will see clearly a human hand holding the door. But anyway, with film, that's just one of the things you have to look over. we were shooting with some really great lenses. I think they were the Zeiss primes that were really good glass that we were shooting through for this film. And the movie camera, the camera itself is the compact version of the camera. And if you watch the behind the scenes, you can see the camera. But that's the compact version. You know, it's still a big camera. It's heavy. It's the mags are really large. And if you see this, I think it's called the Movie Cam Super America or something like that. It's like twice the size. It's like huge. You know, it was pretty quiet though. I remember the camera was. This scene got a lot of. The actors kept cracking up during the scene. I don't know why. It was like giggle night or something, but they would do the scene and then they would start laughing. I think it was Aunt Chen, Akiko's character, because she was so deadpan serious all the time that it was making people laugh because but she was just, here she is right here, and she was just so into her character and just so deadpan all the time. And then Shirley would just crack up, and Anna, who plays the dead girl here, would crack up. That's actually JoJo, my wife, standing in for Anna. For some reason, I think she went out of town, had to go to town, or she couldn't be on set that day, even though she was supposed to be there. And we ended up having to put someone else in the wall, and I ended up enlisting JoJo to put on the outfit and put her in some plastic and just put her behind the wall. That was the room. The room she just went in is actually a bathroom, but the one behind her, that was actually the room I stayed in the entire shoot. That's where all the dailies were. We had like a little edit bay in there, you know, that we had all the props. We had everything was really essentially, it was kind of like the production office / bedroom for me. I can't remember how many rooms this house had. It had like, I think it was like 6 bedrooms or something like that. And to my knowledge, this house has never been used. It has only been used for this film and not for any other movie ever to this day. Hopefully it stays that way, because that's digitally enhanced shot in there. Digitally enhanced. I always like to shoot at places that other people haven't shot, like a million movies, you know. Now this bed we had to, because she goes under the bed, but it's actually being held up by, I think, like 2 apple boxes in order to get her to be able to slide under it. These are JoJo's feet, actually. You can tell if you look really close that the shoes don't fit her feet at all. But Shirley wasn't there that day, and we made him. I don't know if we just forgot or we made a mistake, but we needed somebody to do the feet. So I had my wife JoJo to put the shoes on and walk in and walk out. It was pretty easy, but the shoes, I remember when she put them on, he's like, these shoes are like way too big. It's like, oh well. Digital work on her eyes there. The house had these lights, these green lights. We didn't add that, actually. That's how the house looked at night. It had had all this outdoor lighting already there. But it helped us, you know, for the movie, for sure.
I was going.
Thought we had an agreement.
We do. I
see you've been snooping around. As a housekeeper, you're
fired.
You know, I've been thinking.
She liked this line. I remember when she said it.
You're fired.
You're fired. I still have the those food the dogs and the food dogs on the background there, and that little pagoda over on the right. I have that in my garden. You know, I still have a lot of the stuff. It's amazing seeing it in here. I think that's where I got it. I mean, we bought it for the movie, and then after the movie's over, it's like, okay, well, what do we do with it? Well, you know, we can't really, you know, we can donate it or we can keep it. So I ended up keeping some of it. That we're down in that pit again, the one I was telling you about, where to work on cars and stuff. Yeah.
Hey! Let me out of here!
What am I gonna do with you?
Miss Wu, please let me out.
We know this really saddens me. I like you. But if you would mind your own business, instead of snooping in mine all the time, we could have been great friends. But then friends come and go.
Why did you...
We couldn't. We took this grate that she's walking on and moved it over a few feet to when earlier when Marina was looking down with the flashlight and looking down in the hole and all that. Well, that wasn't really practical for us to do, so we ended up having to take the grate off of here and move it over to the dirt and sort of cheat that as the opening of the hole. But that thing was heavy. That thing was really heavy.
My elders believe in Yuan Guai Zai. Marie's child goes in earnest.
No, it was.
Sell them at high prices.
These urns we bought. We just went out, I think, to like Ross and Marshalls or whatever we did. I don't remember. We went out and we bought all these like urns and aged them and broke them up and, you know, put them together. This movie was really a do-it-yourself production. I mean, we really did a lot of things to save money. You know, between the wardrobe and the sets. And I mean, we did a lot to save money on this movie.
Luck is not by chance. There's structure to it.
That's one of the reasons I use it a lot in my book. For those of you who might not know, I wrote a book. I've written several books actually about filmmaking, and the first one I wrote was a book called The Filmmaker's Book of the Dead: How to Make Your Own Heart-Racing Horror Movie. And I just finished this year. Actually, I just finished the second edition, the expanded one that comes out this year, 2015, and you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any major booksellers. But in that book, I talk a lot about how we made, because there were a lot of things that we did on this film that we were able to save money. And I get a lot of people that ask me, or email me for advice, or say, hey Danny, you know, how do you know, how do you think I can do this, or you know, what's the best camera to use, and then I just decided to write a book about it. I always wanted to, and that became The Filmmaker's Book of the Dead. So, and I wrote another book too called Genre Filmmaking, and it's all about shots, visual shots and style, and how to use different shots for different emotions and whatnot. And that's also available out there at Focal Press and Barnes & Noble and Amazon. You can see it. Yeah. That key, gosh, I think that key, we had to go, there was some story behind that key. I was looking for an old key, and I think I had to have somebody go down to an old locksmith and find that specific key, because that's not something you can just go down to Lowe's and find, you know. It's a very specific style of key, so Yeah, I think we got that from a local locksmith. Remember, this isn't a lock at all, of course. I had him drill a hole through the metal and make it look like a lock. just put it together. This was a fun scene to shoot, I remember. I think the girls had fun shooting this. I think one of them, I remember right, I think one of them hurt their ankle or something. I know Shirley, poor Shirley, had bruises on her, and later on she gets tied up to the wall, and she kept saying, oh, you know, the ropes need to be a little tighter. It's like, oh. And then she would resist, and you know, she would bruise. Like here, you know, they were really throwing. I just had them go at it. I said, hey, why don't you guys do, you know, we didn't have a stunt person or anything on a set, so we just had them sort of improv this fight scene, and they just kind of went at it. You know, I said, hey, look, I'm gonna roll the camera, you guys fight, and that's exactly what happened. So we were. She ran up the stairs. Shirley came out. They attacked each other, and they just went at it. And I shot what they did pretty much. You know, there was no real stunt involvement here. You know, or stunt doubles or anything. So, but they banged themselves up a little bit because they were falling to the ground. They didn't have a pad down there and stuff. You know, so they just went at it. There, just dash her head in. Shirley gets mean in this scene. There you go. Yeah. That would do it. These long moments of black to sort of transition us into the next moment. I like doing that. Now that over on the right is actually real brick cut out to a certain frame because it's going to be, the brick's going to fall out. And then the rest of the brick, of course, is all sort of fake brick. But yeah, we really had to build that right. And yeah, we tied Shirley up to that thing. I remember her I remember her arms and arms and thighs getting really bruised because she was resisting it a lot. I was told when we were shooting this scene by, I think the boom operator, her father had been a mason, a stone mason. He's like, that's not how they break things up. And I was like, oh man, don't tell me that right when I'm about to shoot it. You know, I don't know much about masonry. So she's like, oh no, that's not how you do it. That's not how they do it. And I'm like, well, so I made this shot a lot tighter, and the idea is that she's kind of at the top, you know, like she built it. She built the wall, and like the top layer was supposed to be, you know, sort of the final at the very top of the wall. But she puts the last brick in. But that was all. I mean, we had a small little area built for that, but you know, it was all real brick and all real everything for that. So Jared pops up here again.
Myself. Then I got to thinking, being dead must be a very lonely existence. I don't want to be alone.
You can see how small Marina is compared to Jared, I think, in that shot. Marina's pretty short. Jared's very tall. He's like 6'4" or 6'5", I think.
No more lonely nights or worrying about.
That's one of the reasons we cast him, because he was very tall.
Death has to be better than life.
Yeah.
Think about it.
He goofed up his line a few times, I think, in this scene. I remember. I think one or two of them are in the blooper reel on the disc.
Jacob, listen to me.
Yeah, Miss Wu. Miss Wu's gonna get what she deserves.
What do you want?
This whole scene was, again with the fake wall. So we had the fake wall built with some real bricks, sort of outlining the area. See, this is, and we had somebody back there just sort of just kicking the bricks, so they would fall down, and we had the light source back there and everything as well. That was actually that pill. I think it was like I think it was a piece of candy, actually, if I remember right. It wasn't a pill at all. I think it was a mint, breath mint. Yeah, so now you can see the sort of pattern we cut out, and then we filled in the pattern with real brick, and then we just had if you look real closely, you can see how the brick is really thin. It's not supposed to be, but yeah, we had her sort of behind the wall and had somebody below her sort of kicking in the wall.
Together.
That was fun. That was fun to shoot that. And we shot this movie with no generator at all, actually. And for a movie, when you shoot it on film, usually you need a lot of light. And I didn't want to bring in a generator. We ended up just tapping into the house power, and we were able to run all of our lights without having to bring in a loud and expensive generator. So that worked out for us. People always comment. I think Rick comments on the scene sometimes. Was kind of funny, like, why doesn't Blake fight back? And I was like, well, he's kind of a puss, really. I mean, he's not really a fighter, right? He's supposed to be this like veterinarian, the guy that lives next door, a little bit of a wimp. But he totally gets his ass handed to him in this scene. He does nothing to fight back. So in retrospect, looking back on the film, I think I should have had him probably put a punch or two in there, because looking at it now, you're kind of like, geez, he really didn't fight back. He just takes a beating, he really doesn't do anything. But in the end, he gets up and he dies an acid death, or that scene got cut shorter too, but you can see him there. But I had to digitally enhance all his makeup, but I didn't have him on the screen very long because it started to look really ridiculous. He was sort of grabbing at her and everything, and it looked really weird. So this scene was cut really short. That's an enhanced scene too. I like that shot actually. Throughout the film, you do hear Cantonese. I couldn't say what those words are off the top of my head, but I remember having Shirley do a lot of the. I think Shirley actually did the Cantonese. So the ghost voices that you're hearing that are in another language, that's actually Shirley's voice, I believe. So, and we just enhanced it a little bit to make it sound like it was someone else. Now this scene, this was supposed to be the last shot of the movie originally, and I had him crawl. You don't see it because I cut it out, but they actually crawled all the way over to Jared, on top of Jared, and then it almost looked like they were humping him at some point, and I was like, oh my god! So we ended up just showing him briefly, sort of out of focus in the background, and then we cut out. But yeah, I think you can see it in the blooper reel too. They totally crawl up on him and just it looked like they were humping him or something. It was really weird. And now this dialogue that she's saying right now, the voiceover dialogue, was all written last minute, because actually after the movie had played, I think, and I think it needed a little bit more explanation at the end, so I ended up writing some extra dialogue here at the end for her voiceover. But it wasn't in the original script. We just had to do it at the last minute.
But it has never been the same.
I will never understand the evils.
This
of
is, of course,
world.
the same house, but it's funny because it's the
comforts me to know
same
it doesn't
stuff that
always
she
go
was using at
unpunished.
Miss Wu's house, even though she's supposed to be
Miss
a year
Wu
later
has
somewhere
earned
else.
money and
We don't know
sees
where
to bribe
quite,
the
but
dead.
she's using a lot of the
But
same stuff
justice
we
has
used in
no
the movie
price for a victim.
earlier.
Miss Wu once told me if I follow the rules next
I had
time,
a lot of that stuff left
I will
over.
be
You know, we
blessed and
burned.
have good blood.
You know, we burned what we did during the scene, but I mean, when the
Tonight,
movie was over, I had like all
I
this
burn
paper
these
money
offerings
and all
not
these
for
paper,
luck or blessings,
all this
for Mei
incense and everything. And I think I
Danny,
donated it all, but
and my best friend, Nicole.
yeah, I had a lot of that stuff.
I can only hope their souls do not wander.
You know, the idea here is that
And
she's
find
continuing
peace.
on the tradition because she believes that she needs to do this in order to ward off the ghosts now. And in her case, it's Miss Wu. You see Miss Wu, Jared. They're after her, so she needs to appease them. And that's it. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen that film, actually, from beginning to end. The first cut of the movie actually was, I think this cut is 100 minutes, but the very first cut of this film was over 2 hours. And I ended up having to cut out like 20 minutes or so. I probably should have cut out even more, you know, in retrospect too. You know, you always look at your movie, you know, after you do it and you're like, man, I probably could have cut 10, 15 more minutes out of it. But yeah, the original cut was a lot longer, believe it or not. This ending here, this what's called a graphical end crawl, was the very first time I did one of these, and I just really thought, you know, end crawls, they're so boring, you know, it's just white text on black and it goes up the screen. I was like, I'm going to try to do something a little different. So I ended up putting together this graphical end crawl, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then from sort of that point forward, I decided every movie I would do some kind of really cool end crawl sequence. And I think I did one on Real Evil. That was a really, really cool, like, camcorder vibe. And yeah, it's always fun to do that kind of stuff, you know. And I love this musical cue here as well. It's just one of my favorite cues too that Jojo did. But yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, the movie. Thanks for listening to this director's commentary. There's a ton of stuff on the disc. It's just loaded with extra features, and it was a blast making this movie. You know, it really was for me, and for the actors, for the crew. If you're interested in film production at all, it's a pretty good example of ways that you can, make, save money and sort of do stuff yourself when it comes to making movies. And again, if you're interested in looking at my book, The Filmmaker's Book of the Dead, which you can get at Amazon or vocalpress.com, there's a lot of information about how we made this particular movie in that book. Yeah, man, it's 2015, and I'm looking forward to making a lot more movies. There's a lot of stuff coming up, and I hope everyone enjoyed the film and the commentary. And it was a blast. By the way, that's real calligraphy that a friend of Shirley's did. He's a calligrapher, and I think each one of those characters is a different way of saying Ghost Month, for the Chinese Ghost Month, and they did like different ones, and I ended up integrating it into some of the menus and the end crawl and some of the artwork. That's what those characters actually mean, as far as I know. Shot on Fujifilm. Yes, there. Rest in peace, Fujifilm. Dark World Picture. That's it, guys. If you're still listening to this, you're amazing, because at this point, I'm grabbing straws. I don't know what else to say other than thank you so much for buying, renting, streaming, whatever you're doing to listening to this commentary right now. Thank you so much, and I I hope you continue to check out my movies, DannyDraven.com. Find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter. Until next time, have a great one, and it's been a pleasure.